This is the best New York Pro we've seen in years.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
We are back. I don't know what happened here, but we're back for another installment of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo. Of course, you saw the man I'm talking about is the technician, Chris Aceto. We were both in Teaneck, New Jersey at the Teaneck Marriott for the New York Pro this past weekend, and we're actually still both here. Chris is here, I'm here. And we are going to give you guys a little recap of this great weekend. And Chris, it was probably, like you said in the little intro, one of the best New York pros we've seen in years. I can't even remember the last time we had such a good head-to-head battle.
Well, you have a superstar, Nick Walker, Kurt Russell. Doesn't he look like Kurt Russell?
I don't know about Kurt Russell, but
he does. Put up a picture of Kurt Russell. They got the same jawline. Especially Nick puts a little
Nick's mad. He looks like Kurt Russell, maybe. Yeah.
No. So, anyways, you got Nick, the headliner, and then Fitzwater, coming on strong and surprising everybody, and the expectation of the new Dexter Jackson. That's what I hear, at least, of Antonio Burton, and I mean the list goes on of good bodybuilders in the show.
Yeah, I think we were shocked because I think Martin was really the guy who really surprised us both, right? I mean, we didn't expect to see him show up the way he did because we saw him in Detroit, and by your own admission, he probably didn't even deserve to win that show. Good Vito probably should have won that show. It was very close. It was controversial, and he didn't like that taste that left in his mouth where people were saying he didn't deserve to win. And he decided, I saw him 3 weeks ago in St. Louis. He goes, I'm going to do New York Pro. I'm going to come in at my best, and I'm going to see how I stack up against Nick Walker. And you know what? He brought it. And you got to pat the guy in the back for doing that, because not a lot of people would do that. He already qualified for the Olympia. He didn't need to do that.
Well, he brought a far improved package, I think, here than Detroit. I just think that he's probably, my guess, roughly the same weight, but just had more polish, more fullness, more condition. I just think he missed his peak in Detroit.
Or didn't hit his peak yet. Yeah, his peak.
Just didn't hit it, or looked lackluster. But he made up for all of that at this show because here, when he hit his shots, unlike in Detroit, you could see everything all the time. And he improved even for the night show.
Yes.
So
you never thought that Martin Fitzwater would take out Nick Walker from a back double bicep pose, right?
100% agree with you. I at night his back was really good, and they have different backs, the way they're shaped and so forth.
Right.
The depth of the traps. I mean, and that's why I think the depth of the traps and the depth of the mid back, compounded with the condition of the back shot. you could easily make an argument that he won the back double. At night, I
Yeah.
think he did win the back double.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I definitely think he won that back double shot. And, it's funny because one of the things that I noticed when Hadi won the Arnold, earlier this year, is that when he kind of pulled his lats back, to get to show the lower lats, he didn't have a lot of like feathering down there, like I think he's had in the past. Although his waist was shrink wrapped like ridiculously, Martin's got those really nice developed lower lats where when he pulls his arms back, there's not a piece of skin even loose down there. It's unbelievable.
He's got a fully developed back. I mean, that's what exposed. Frankly, did I think he'd win Detroit? No. Did he expose heavily in the back double? Good Vito on the back double? Yes. Because one, Good Vito's, that's his weak spot. But Martin's back, in Detroit, here, all the way going back to like when he was third or fourth in Texas, whatever he might have been there, second in Texas a couple of years ago. His back is fully developed in all areas, including lower back. And it's, you get next to somebody who's you think has a great back, like Kurt Russell, and you realize, you realize there's different levels to backs. And so his back is phenomenal. It's phenomenal, actually, especially you made a great point, of course, as usual, Dave, with Hadi's back. We think of Hadi as a, great back. And, Martin's back is, I wouldn't say it's as good as Hadi's, but it's in that category of really one of the better backs, best backs in the pros right now. He looks great in the side chest too, side tricep. I mean, there's a lot of shots. You're putting those up on the screen. There's a lot of shots.
He's wide.
Yeah. The reason I had, it's funny. We did the wrap up and I said, no, I have Nick Walker winning, period. I never thought during prejudging that Nick was at risk of losing that, because I thought that his condition could be a little bit better because we've seen him better, but he was just so big and so round that I defaulted to, well, he's in really, really good shape and he's really big. But at the night show, there were parts of the night show where I wasn't, I thought maybe Martin's going to win, because he's more, there's a lot of detail in some spots where Nick didn't have it. So I think at the end of the day, what was it? It's a point,
1 point. Yeah. Now, what I was surprised about was that I felt that Martin definitely won prejudging. I don't think that there was a doubt, and that's
where it's funny is that he won prejudge. Well, I don't know, I didn't check the scores, so you could tell me. But in our round wrap up, you had him winning, and I was in disagreement. I said, no, I have Nick winning, and then at night I thought, I think I'm changing my mind. So when it comes down to like a 1 point decision, there's different levels of 1 point decisions.
Right. Well, 1 point means that like the judges are just so split, and you don't see that very often. Usually you see every judge is kind of like, well, yeah, I can see how this guy's winning. Even if it's close, they're going to go with the right guy. They didn't know. There were half the judges thought that Martin, half the judges thought Nick. I thought Martin won prejudging. I thought Nick did a lot at night and corrected a lot of bad. This is his night pictures that we're looking at. And he looked a lot tighter at night. His tan, he got it really darkened. Martin's tan wasn't so great at night. And I thought Nick brought a better look. And I think that's what, if anything is going to push him over the edge, that's what pushed him over the edge. These guys were very evenly matched up. I think Nick left the door open a little bit. Nick told me in the interview I did with him after the show that he felt this was his best look ever. What do you think about that?
It is Nick's. I'm not too far off disagreement, because Nick has to strike the right balance. And the balance is, do I come in crazy, full and big, which we've seen him. And I would say that's when he was 30 at the Olympia, and he got some criticism that he wasn't quite tight enough.
That's what he told me too.
Then he slingshotted back to the Arnold the next, few months later, and he was truly peeled out of his mind. and
Right.
he took a lot of criticism because people like, well, we don't like that look. You know what I mean? So there's a happy medium there, and I think this is more like of a happy medium. It's like the roundness that he had at that, like what, that Olympia where he was third, along, but not as conditioned, but not flat like he was when he was third at the, or second at the Arnold when Sampson won.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, like and that the photo you put up, Dave, is the perfect photo to express that, because he's in that most muscular. He's big, he's round, he's hard, and he can bring it down further, like crazy hard. But I don't know if it's effective for an effective look for him.
Yeah. The only thing I saw, if we're gonna go, like, if we're gonna be from a pure muscle, purist like type of thing, he was obviously bigger than Martin.
Well, this is, there, Dave. There's
it is a
few
bodybuilding
shots.
show. At the end of the day,
There's a few
show.
shots like the side chest and side tricep, which I think Martin is really good in too. Like Nick's leg from the side is just
nuts. Yeah.
Ridiculous. It's stupid. It's like, it looks like, I said in the wrap up, I said, it looks like an elephant.
Let's
And he won the crowd at night. Didn't hurt,
Well, the crowd loved him. Yeah, he definitely owned the crowd. There's no doubt about that. I don't think there was any. New York crowds love big guys. Think Nasser, El Somebody, Dorian Yates back in the day.
Yeah.
Ronnie Coleman won that. Remember when he beat Livroni the year he won the Olympia? I mean, that might have been one of the best battles of all time.
Yeah.
Remember that one? 98?
98, I was there. Jay was
Ronnie
10.
was just off the charts. For Ronnie to beat Kevin Livroni, I mean, that was a huge, huge win for him. And
well, don't forget, he already beaten him, Dave.
Right, but I'm saying at that show, I think Livroni was gearing up for the Olympia. Everyone knew the title was going to be vacated by Dorian. They were all gunning for that title, for that Olympia title. And I don't think anyone had Ronnie on the radar, basically, for that title until that Night of Champions. So New York Pro, which was used to be Night of Champions, has notoriously been a show where big things happen. This is a big story, because going into the Olympia, we're going to see Nick there. We're going to see Martin there. These guys could be top five. Well, they're going to be. Nick is certainly going to be top five, but I think Martin can make the top five at this year's Olympia. What do you think about that?
I think so. I think he could certainly be in that mix there. There's like 7 guys, you know what I mean, who are just. There's 3 or 4 guys for rock solid, sure, probably, and then there's like 3 more who, so he's in that second group of could be.
I'm telling you. I mean, I know he needs a little bit more size on his body, but I think he's going to shock a lot of people at the Olympia. Now, obviously, you got the big guys like Sampson, and you got Andrew, obviously, who are going to be very dangerous, and they're bigger, a lot bigger. But I think Martin could sneak in there in that top 5. I really do.
I agree with you, and I don't think he's small.
No, he's not. He didn't look small here to me at all.
Yeah, what I mean, he didn't. There's no part of prejudging where you said he's small. There's just parts of prejudging in certain shots that you say, "Wow, Nick's really big." Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, I think you and that you say that like in the most muscular side chest, side tricep. Yeah. You say, "Wow, Nick's really big," and that.
Let's face it, Nick's the biggest guy really in bodybuilding at this point at that top elite level. I mean, if you want to look height for mass, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does Sampson weigh more? Yeah, but Nick's bigger,
Yeah, Nick's bigger than Sampson.
So for Martin to hold his own against, Nick here, I think that was a win for him in a sense.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
What would you like to see Martin improve on?
I don't think there's. I think because he has a balanced physique, he just needs to keep doing whatever he's doing, because, the gains are going to come everywhere. Yeah. Like can you really say like, oh, you need more quads, you need more hamstrings, you need more biceps?
No, he's balanced. Really. Is there a risk of him ruining his physique if he gets too big?
No.
Yeah. So he can hold the mass.
I think it would have been ruined already. Some people, you can see it coming.
Yeah. he's very wide. That's what a lot of people don't realize. His
Yeah.
width is impressive, and I think that's why he's so dangerous on stage, because he's almost as wide as Nick is. If you look at that shot, I mean, he's not losing width to Nick at all here.
Yeah.
And he's got a smaller waist, So I think this was a definite good move on his part. What'd you think about Tonio Burton, who a lot of people, myself included, thought could be a big factor here because he won last year. He's got the crazy Dexter Bonac look, getting muscle. What mistake did he make? Just not coming in height enough?
Yeah, he could have been. I mean, I think he was. I think he was at his typical level of condition, and I just think that it depends on who you're standing next to. You're going against two people. Nick is telling you this is his all-time best, probably so, or could be so, or it's in that category, and this is Martin's all-time best. So when you're standing next to two people just better than you at their all-time best, you start to get critical rather than complimentary of Antonio Barton. So instead of saying what's good about him, you say, oh, what's he need to beat these guys? And I think it's kind of unfair, if that makes sense.
Well, put it this way: with the amount of muscle he has now, had he had a Dexter Jackson type conditioning, how would he have done?
Well, he won't get. Martin Fitzwater does not have it. They do not have and will not get that level of conditioning, just to remind people. But if he had Dexter Jackson level of conditioning, Dexter's really, he'd win.
Yeah.
If Martin had Dexter's, he'd win. And if Nick had Dexter's, he'd win.
Right.
There's way different levels of nuttiness.
I think that, Tonio has to just work on, because I don't necessarily know how much bigger he needs to get. I think he just needs to really get dry and grainy and separated. I think his physique with that proportion will just look very impressive if he can do that.
He looked great in the comparisons. He held his own with Nick and Martin. I felt, it just, once they go through the rounds, like once you go like, okay, third. You know what I mean? He's not going to be in the battle.
All right, let me give you a better comparison. What if he had Bonac-like conditioning? Because he's got a Bonac-ish looking physique, Yeah,
but
if he had Bonac conditioning?
Bonac is way more muscle than him. That's why you're mistaking Bonac's condition for the mass. Like Bonac has way more muscle.
Right. He's a little shorter, too. What was your impression of Beef Stew, who I thought also has made tremendous improvements?
Yeah, we were critical of. He had the good Vito tan Brazil going on.
Yeah, he's tan. He's got to get this tan right. It hasn't been
Tanning
right.
snafu. Tanning snafu. He looked great. Improved last year. Improved this year. Two straight years of big improvements. I just think he looks wider now than he did last year. He has more muscle maturity than he had last year. He has more size than he had last year.
He just needs to keep getting bigger, I think. Yeah. What do you think about the hairdo? Have you had enough of it, or you like it?
No, I love it.
I did too.
He was bald before, right? Was he bald or have shaven head?
I don't remember. Victor Martinez said what everyone always says, Bruno Mars, but I think it's like his personality now. I hope he doesn't lose his hair, because that's his look now, and I like it. I actually do like it. What was your impression of? Well, let's skip now. I mean, if you want to watch the whole wrap up, Chris and I did a wrap up from. It was so. I had so much fun doing the wrap up, because not only did we do a wrap up, but Steve Weinberger joined the wrap up, Jim Mannion joined the wrap up, and they actually gave their input into the show, which is a lot of times you don't see that. They'll just kind of say, "Hey, what's up?" They actually were giving their impression. Mannion said it was very close. It was a hard decision. It was a 1-pointer, and it could have gone either way. And obviously the prize money was a big thing. They have some of these new corporate sponsors now. They're giving money. $30,000 Nick got, plus he got a ring that was worth $10,000. So that was a nice little take. Martin got over $17,500. Never have we seen a second place, person making that much money aside from the Arnold or the Olympia. So that's great. They're raising the money. Mannion said next year that the Pittsburgh is going to have a lot more money too. So I like that they're putting more money back into the athletes' hands, because at the end of the day, as we said in the wrap up, you're going to get better athletes doing the shows, and it's better for the athletes just so they can, they can pay their bills and support themselves and do these shows. So we also had Victor Martinez joined in. He was in a good mood, and Tony Dart as well, all the way from Australia. So
Yeah,
doesn't get much. He interviewed me. He took the microphone away from me, but
he thinks Tony, you think you're the Dave Palumbo of Australia? Let me take that mic over there, mate.
I love Tony Dart. I
He's
really
used to,
do.
he's like you, Dave. He's used to. He can't be in an interview. He has to ask the question. He has no ability to be interviewed, so he took the mic right from you to take over. That's what you do.
Yeah, no, I know. The funny thing is that if Tony lived like closer to me, like we would be. I know I'd be hanging out with him like every day. Just
absolutely.
He loves bodybuilding. He really does.
That's why I said he's the Dave Palumbo of Australia. You got it.
I ran into so many people. I can't even mention all the names that I ran into. It was, I told my sister came to the show. You met her, and I told her, I said, my sister used to compete in the 90s in fitness, and I told her, I said, it's the same people from the 90s still at the show, especially the New York Pro. And she's going there, and all these people coming up to, hey, Nicole, what's up? I'm like, how do you know these people? She's like, oh, I ran into
Better Bodies. What's the guy's name from Better
Brian
Bodies?
Moss was there.
Brian Moss.
Yeah.
It's like running into like a retired senator or something.
Brian Moss is doing a documentary he's making on the history of Animal Pack. Remember Animal Pack, the ads?
Yeah. He's
been doing their ads for like 20-something years now, and there's been different campaigns, but that look of the Animal Pack has been his, that he developed. And Evan Centopani's been in those videos, Frank McGrath. I actually was in one of the incarnations of the Animal Packs. I didn't let them use my face because they weren't, but they have my bodies in those. Some of the crazy super hardcore squat video ones that they had, those ads, those are my my legs. So he's doing a whole little docu series on them, and I don't know when he's going to do it, but it should be interesting because Brian's such a creative guy, and he's been doing this for many years. We've been talking. All the way back to when female bodybuilding just started.
I introduced someone to him, and I didn't know how to introduce him. Like, oh, this Dave Palumbo, he's got a supplement company and he has a website. Yeah, I couldn't put him in I just said he's like an artist, and it's hard to explain how he found his way into bodybuilding and what he has done and what he's still doing.
Let me see if I can pull up this thing here. This is his Instagram page. That's an iconic image that he did. If you remember that one.
Yeah, he has tons of them, tons.
Yeah. So
he used to have in the gym. I'm talking 30 years ago. He used to have high-end furniture. As you know, when you go to gym, you sit on a bench.
There's an old one, Chris. You remember that?
Yeah.
Can you name all the people in the picture?
Bertil
Fox on the right.
That's the lady from Finland to Bertil.
Mario Celine, right?
Yeah, and then is that Rick Valente to the left?
That's Rick Valente, yeah.
And I can't quite see.
That looks like Stridham to me. Next,
Wesley Visser with the hair on the.
No, that's Gary Stridham.
Before he had the toupee.
Yeah, I think that is the toupee, isn't it?
Okay.
And then that's Brian Moss.
I only mentioned the toupee because Mike Quinn had a guest pose and screamed at him on the mic, "I'm going to rip that toupee right off your head."
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, at a guest posing in California that I was at, rather.
Mike Quinn was crazy. There's Frank McGrath. Old Animal Pack. Oh, Nasser. Yeah, he took that picture of Nasser. I forgot that. He won the Arnold Classic the day after this. Nasser was probably like, "Oh, Brian, you're annoying me with that camera. Please get it out of my room. I have nothing to say to you." So Brian's like, "Can I take a picture of you having that attitude like you don't want me out of the room?" "Yes, do whatever you must. And please leave me alone. I must carb up now." There's Evan. Can you name the guy on the left? See if you know.
Guy. I can barely see. Guy.
Oh, because you're on your phone. That's Frank Fankhauser. Remember Eric Fankhauser?
Oh yeah, Frank Housley. I can name
Actually,
all.
I think that's John De La Rosa in front of him too. It's a good picture. Who's that? Is
Milos.
that
That's Milos.
Oh, that is Milos. You're right. It is Milos. I forgot about that. Yeah, Joe. This guy, Joe Ladnier, died recently. Good power lifter. Throwing the Dinosaur Davis, another guy who's no longer with us. Brian had just an iconic way of shooting people. Jason
Yeah.
He was a freak too. There's Derek Lunsford.
Yeah.
Our current Mr. Olympia. Sean Clarita. Evan. I saw Evan at the show. Did you talk to Evan?
Yeah, I talk to Evan all the time.
Roman Fritz.
Evan sent me a picture of a mailbox. Did I tell you about the mailbox he purchased on the show already?
No. Yeah, I think you did tell me. He found some old, was it like some kind of antique mailbox?
He thought he found an antique mailbox.
Yeah, and you had it, right?
And I said, "Can you give me 30 seconds?" And I ran downstairs. And I said, "I already have it." And he said, "Look at the bottom of the mailbox and to see which year was like crafted." And his was like 1948. Mine was 1931.
So, and it was the same mailbox, right?
Yeah, he said he found and bought on Craigslist a one-of-a-kind mailbox. And he knew I would appreciate it, so he sent it to me. I said, "Well, it can't be one of a kind. It's got to be two." And he just started laughing. He said, "What? And I said, "Hold on." And I went down and I videoed it. He could not believe that I had the same mailbox.
That's funny. Well, anything that's old, I would not put it past you that you have it somewhere in your house. You're a collector. You don't throw anything out. Who's this? Can you tell me who this is?
Oh, I can put on the glasses, Dave. That is Rachel.
Now that's Gladys.
Oh, is that Gladys? See, I can't. I literally did. I can't tell when it's a postage stamp.
I don't know who the guy is on the right. That's Brian on the left there.
Yeah.
I think they're at Ferrigno's gym. Yeah, that's. I guess everyone used to. I didn't know this. Everyone used to go to Ferrigno's gym to buy weights from Louis' father, right?
Yeah. I guess so.
Gregory Hines. There's Jay. 2002, backstage, Arnold.
Before there was Adobe. Look at that back.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's huge. Brian always found the right angles to shoot to get people at. Roman Fritz. There's Gladys and Brian. Brian was like the rock star of the bodybuilding world, right? Like he had the long hair, he had abs, but he wasn't too big, you know.
Yeah, it's hard to explain what he did and who he was and how he inserted himself into bodybuilding, and there's all a little
good stuff.
Interesting. He's an artist, so it's hard to like.
Yep.
It's hard to put a description on his art, and his whole life is art.
But there's not that many him, David Paul, maybe, there's not a lot of guys in our industry that really, went in that artistic direction.
Yeah. Well, he never went in that direction. He came from that direction. There's a difference.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
He's looking at it through the lens of living as an artist versus like a photographer trying to get an arty edge. Hey, let me take a different approach. Okay, you're a photographer with a different approach. His whole life is, he living in Lower Manhattan, right?
Yeah.
The whole.
True. What'd you think of Ashley Jones winning that women's bodybuilding? She's a
first bodybuilding show, right? Yeah.
I think she might give Andrea Shaw a run for her money at that Olympia, like a news feed.
Yeah.
I think she started in like figure or something like that.
Yeah, she made a little speech about moving over like a couple different class divisions, and that this was the first bodybuilding show. And
yeah, that's pretty crazy. You win your first bodybuilding show ever. You never did a bodybuilding show.
Yeah, the New York Pro.
Yeah, she's like a little female Kai Green almost looking physique. Right?
Yeah. The legs and the overall development.
Speaking of women's bodybuilding, I saw Jake Wood was there with Dan Solomon. I thought they were going to make a big announcement or something like that about
I mentioned that to him last night.
Yeah.
It's funny. that, Dave. I saw him in the lobby, like the hotel was really late, and I said went over to say hello because Dan's always great to just go and catch up with. I thought you guys were making a big announcement. He said, "What announcement?" And I said, I said the prize money for the Olympia. He didn't say much about it, but it's coming.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. She's a freak, this girl. She's going to be great at the Olympia. But yeah, they made the announcement that it's funny because a lot of people have been reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, Dave, how can I get VIP tickets for the Olympia?" And I'm like,
Sold out.
It's sold out. Dan said it's sold out in 3 days. So maybe we underestimated the popularity of the Olympia. It's like now it's become a new destination place. Everyone wants to go there and they want to see it in person. So that's good. It's good for the sport.
Well,
I'm glad to hear.
They announced that the tickets sold out in 3 days, VIPs, and they announced that soon they will be selling the regular tickets.
Yeah,
and those will probably sell out in 3 days.
Yeah, it's funny because people always say to me, "Why would you want to buy a ticket and sit in the back of the auditorium?" And what I explain to people is that, first of all, not everyone can afford the VIP tickets, right? A lot of people, young guys, like when we were kids, I would have sat in the last row. I just wanted to be in that auditorium to feel the energy of that place, to be hobnob with the bodybuilders, to talk to people. So not everyone is going there because they have to be in the front row. We have to be in the front row because what we do is we critique the physique. So we got to be able to see everything. But a lot of guys, they'll watch the screen, big screen above, and they don't care. They want to just be in the auditorium and feel what it feels like to.
Well, you go to a. I mean, people still attend baseball games at Yankee Stadium, and you watch. There's box seats that are more expensive, and then there's the right field seats, and all the way to the top. Still enjoy the game.
Yeah, no, I know people that used to sit in the bleachers and remember the whole bleacher seats. I don't even know if they still have them anymore.
No, they don't have those anymore.
Yeah. That was because people just want to be there. It's the energy of being there. You have to go to the Olympia to really understand it. I remember when I first started, I was working for Mike Lyons, doing commercials. I was going on commercial auditions in the city, and he's like, "You got to go to the Olympia." And I'm like, "And the Arnold." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Because," he goes, "you have to network with people there, and he goes, if you want to be a bodybuilder, you got to be at the best shows in the world." He said, those are the 2 best shows. And he was right. When I went there, I understood. I didn't understand it until I actually got there. And then I said, "Holy mackerel, this is like bigger than life." It's crazy. But it's important. It's important. Let's see what else we got to talk about here.
Don't forget, you'll close the show without talking about 212s and Classic.
No. I got it. I'm getting there. We're going to talk about Mac Rego now, who you helped, and who narrowly lost in Pittsburgh last week, and comes back with the victory here. Talk to me about what did you guys change anything? What was different from this week?
No, I think he came in pretty much close to the same weight as Pittsburgh. Because I like the way and he did like the way he looked in Pittsburgh. So there's, just because you don't win a show, the worst thing you can do is say, we're going to triple up on the sodium, or don't cut the sodium, or we're going to double the water or decrease the water. You just keep going. I told him this. Actually, I told him this. Quote, "It's a 1-point decision in Pittsburgh. I thought you won. But you didn't win. But I can guarantee you this, on a 1-point decision, you can take the 7 judges in Pittsburgh. If the prejudging ends at noon, you can kick them all out and bring in 6 other good judges from the IFBB, and it might be 1 or 2 points in your favor, or 1 point in your favor. So the point is, if it's close, don't try to overcompensate and try to bring in something totally different, and let's see where the chips fall." And that's exactly what happened. I mean, he's maybe a pound difference than the week before, and won apparently, by all firsts.
I felt that Grego has more of a classic look physique. I thought his coloring was better. I thought his presentation was better than Eric Lisboa, who was the guy to his right, who was second, who won in Pittsburgh. They're both going to the Olympia, by the way. But I wasn't that impressed by Lisboa. I think he looks better in pictures than he does in person, to be honest with you. And that's not a knock against him. I just thought that Grego was a little bit more polished looking, and I didn't think it was even close, to be honest with you. What do you think about that? Am I
I
wrong?
no, I think that you can make a case for Matt to win a lot of shows based on quarter turns, and before you even get into shots, because which means you have a really classic looking physique. I mean, if you look at before he hit shots, Chris Bumstead is winning shows, standing
Yeah.
relaxed,
Yep.
and on the quarter turn to the right. We know there's vulnerabilities technically on paper with Chris. Like I can outside the side chest, you can pick apart some things,
Yeah.
but kind of not the, but in the stance and the quarter turns, you say okay, this guy's leading the show, and that's before you even hit shots. That's how you almost start to determine who's in the lead. And I think that's same calling card that Matt has, standing relaxed in quarter turn. You go okay, this guy's a really good classic guy.
Right. I like that Demo guy from on the left. Justin, my friend Justin Miller works with him.
Yeah, he's very good too. Yes, I think he was a little better in Pittsburgh, but
he just needs a little bit more size. But I mean, he's got really good lines, conditioning. He's polished. I mean, look at his. He's got a small waist. He's not in Grego's category yet, but I almost think I like him better than Lisboa. But Lisboa is
very
bigger.
good. He's very good. Well, Eric's got a lot of height too. Height and width. I think that
people compare Eric to Wesley Vissers, but I don't see the. I mean, he looks a little like him, but I don't see the comparison physique wise at all. To be honest with you.
Well, facially they look like they're from this.
Facially, yeah,
they do. Who's closer, him and Vissers, or Nick Walker and Goldie Hawn's husband, Kurt Russell?
I can't even. It's too esoteric for me. I can't do it. I can't make the comparison. But yeah, I thought the classic was enjoyable. Sometimes the classic can be boring, but maybe because you had a horse in the race, but I thought it was good. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
And this guy is incredible. Ali Bilal. Do you know this? Do you know his story, Chris?
I don't know the story.
Aside from the fact that George somehow attached himself to this guy, but he according to when I was talking to the people sitting next to me, he walked from Afghanistan to Germany or something like that. Oh, it took him 3 years or something like that to escape from Afghanistan, and he walked, and the guy somehow got out of there, and he went through a lot of hardship, this guy, before he actually was able to start training and do his thing. But he's got a great story. I got to get him on the show. I got to interview him because the story sounds so crazy that it warrants repeating. He's won twice now, I think two weekends in a row, and he's going to the Olympia. Great physique. What a great abs. I mean, you can't build those abs. You're born with those abs. I'm sorry,
he's my pick to win the Olympia, hands down.
I was gonna throw that at you. I was gonna say, do you think this guy could win the Olympia?
He's going to win, Dave. Mark my words.
I think so.
What
a great story that would be too if he does win.
Because I do pay attention to a lot of the physiques and but not detailed. But I feel like with Ali, I'm when someone has their first bodybuilding show, and coach, I go with them. Let's say you go with them to the bodybuilding show, and everybody, the person you're helping or loses, right? Oh, wait a minute, your mother or your grandmother or your aunt is there, and they say, I know nothing about it, but you were better than number 4, 7, and 9.
Right.
I mean, I obviously know bodybuilding, and I don't cover men's physique in detail. I don't follow it in detail, but I can still recognize a standout physique. And the second I saw his physique in Pittsburgh, I this guy's gonna, I see him going all the way this year.
What I like about this guy? He's got legs, he's got calves, he's got a complete physique too. He's not just an upper body,
He's got the right shoulder arm midsection tie-in.
Yeah.
He's not overdeveloped in the shoulders and back.
He's got good balance in his physique.
Because there's a lot of people with like crazy backs, or the delts are just insane, but the back is undeveloped, or the back is overdeveloped, or the pecs are too full for the midsection.
Right.
He's just got like perfect balance all the way across. Top.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. And that's going to make for a good Olympia for sure in that sense. All right, let's. I want to bring up the 212 because I thought the 212 battle was really good too. I think a lot of people thought going into the show it was going to be a Kareth Baggio win, and it wasn't. First of all, I didn't think Kareth was as lean as he needed to be. And this Olaf Krivly, I guess it's pronounced Krivy, Olaf Krivly.
Yeah.
Krivy. He wins this, which I thought was a great decision, because I was worried. I thought they might give it to Kareth. This guy was peeled out of his mind. I'm going to tell you a good story about him too, but first, give me your impressions of him.
I think you summed it up perfectly. It was a good win for him because it was the right pick. And, there was a lot of like headwinds coming into the show for Kareth. Is Kareth or Kareth?
Kareth, yeah, Kareth.
Kareth. It was, just a lot of, I wouldn't say hype, but he won last year. He had like
a great physique.
He had an outstanding placing at the Olympia, great calls in the Olympia, looked great at the Olympia, better at the Olympia than he did here by far. Yeah. So there was an expectation that it was going to be a slam dunk. And he was, I paid a lot of attention to prejudging, and I thought that Kareth was bigger in some areas, rounder in some areas, almost dominant in a couple shots. But the more that the prejudging wore on, I thought, okay, I don't think he's just, he's just not quite tight enough. And then at the night show, there's no way. I just thought there's no way that they can give him first because the guy who ended up winning tightened up even more, and his condition was just completely lights out compared to Kareth's.
Yeah, I agree. You know what the problem is also a lot of times, when you have a favorite going into the show, it's it even, I think it even sometimes will bias the judges a little bit, and that's not necessarily a good thing. But I worked with Kareth, obviously, brought him from an amateur to the pro. We won some pro shows together, and then Justin worked with him a little bit. And I'll tell you the thing about Kareth, he's so genetically talented that from the front, I mean, you see the shot, he looks like he's in shape, but he can sometimes not work as hard as he needs to because he does look so good from the front and side shots, and that to get him that grainy, peeled, glute look, you have to really make him suffer. And I don't know. I just think he didn't suffer enough here. And I think if he had suffered enough, I think he would have probably walked away with the victory. But Krivy, it's a great story because, Justin ran into this guy, I guess, in Pittsburgh or something like that. And he said, Justin was talking to him about posing, and he's like, I want to work with you. So I think he worked every single day of the week with Justin on like posing for like a couple hours a day. And I will say, I noticed that when he was posing on stage, he had a lot of posing endurance, and his posing was really good. And so, that definitely helped. If you can't show off what you got, even if you have the best conditioning and the best gifts, that also is not good. So the fact that he actually upped his game a little bit over the last week probably is what pushed him over the edge here and got him the victory. So great work. He's going to the Olympia. I'm sure we'll see Kareth at the Olympia too. He's certainly a 212 standout. And I thought it was a good battle at the end of the day. What did you think of the third place guy? I didn't even know who he was. He's the guy from Brazil.
Yeah, I thought he was
Francisco Barrios.
No, he's from Argentina.
And it said Brazil here.
He lives in Brazil, but I think he's Argentinian. I thought he looked great. His conditioning was spot on, and he's improved. Like, I mean, he was, I followed his placings. He's placed like, when he turned pro, like 17th, or I don't know the exact places, but he's moved from like, He's done the 17th, where he looked good for 17th. You know what I mean? Like some people would quit. And then he was 12th, or you know, and he moved up, but not really. And then cracked top 10, and then cracked this and whatever. So this was like a massive accomplishment for him, because he's continually improved, but not really been rewarded for it.
Mm-hmm.
And in response, he's improved again, and not really been rewarded for it. So finally, like, he's in a show. I think the last couple shows, I think when he was in, there was a show I was at that he was in that I thought he looked really good, and I think he might have placed like 5th or something. It was a pretty deep lineup. So he's being rewarded, and what a it's good to put in 100% and move up in the placings.
Yeah, he's very wide too. He's got crazy shoulders. I don't know why I'm always so impressed with shoulders. I guess because it gives you an illusion of having a better taper. Lavroni had that crazy shoulders thing going on too, where it's like his shoulders came out like an extra couple inches beyond.
Well, he had the jimmied up delts that weren't jimmied, that we all thought were jimmied.
Yeah, these are not jimmied. No, those.
No, that's my whole point. Yeah. He had the craziest delts that were his delts that people who, when you saw the delts in real life, you'd say they can't be real. Right?
Oh, Lavroni, yeah. They looked fake, but they weren't. They were not.
No, same thing with the triceps.
They were striated, and the triceps too. It was like the delts, and then you got another level of tricep that goes beyond everyone else's triceps.
Yeah, he looked like the what's the TV show we used to watch with kids with Batman? He looked like he had the Batman Hollywood costume on, because you always thought from Batman and Robin, you always thought the guy was actually muscular, but he just had a suit on.
That guy Adam West had no muscle.
Adam West.
Yeah. Adam West had negative muscle, I think. But you didn't have to back then. You didn't have to have muscle, right?
No, you just had to have the perfect voice and poise.
Yeah. You're right. So let me get back to what we're talking about here.
212s.
No, I thought the 212 was good. I want to give a couple little shout outs to a couple other divisions here while we're doing this. I ran into Amy Delgado in the lobby. Super nice girl, with a woman with her husband. They have a 6-year-old daughter. You would never think this woman ever birthed a kid. She's won, I think, 2 or 3 shows, 3 shows in a row now, 3 bikini titles, 5 weeks. She's going to the Olympia. She easily won that show. I don't think it was even close. And congratulations to her. Let's see what else we got here. Bring up all my little congratulations. Maria Pereira won the figure title here. Let's put her up there, give her a little plug. All the divisions were great. I got to tell you, I was impressed. They gave out some good money for all these divisions, so I love it when the athletes are doing well. Let's see what else.
Yeah, well, you asked Steve if you're going to see $100,000. He said, "We're going to try."
No, he said, I love that he said that, don't you?
Yeah. I was surprised when you asked the question, like $100,000. That's a big jump from whatever. And you said, "Yeah, we're going to try it." So,
no, you know what? Steve's for the athletes, Jim's for the athletes, because you know what? Steve always loved bodybuilding. He's been in the sport for his whole life, and Jim competed. So, I mean, of course they're going to support the athletes. Giselle Machado wins the wellness title there. So, it seems to be a very popular division. You know what it is? Because we all like muscle, and it's kind of like a feminine muscle division. I still think it's kind of a weird division, but I do like the look of the girls. I think the physiques are really cool.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like muscular legs? I'm a leg guy anyway, so I can get behind that. Let's see what else we got here. I don't want to leave anyone out. Olaf Krivy, who won the 212. Looks like, did you see the guy who beat Tyson Fury last night?
I didn't know Tyson Fury got beat.
Yeah, he got beat. He's not happy about it.
No, I didn't see it. I'm gonna look it up. Right.
Usyk beat him. Yeah.
Was it decision or?
Alexander Usfrik, Ukrainian guy, beat him. It was a split decision.
Yeah.
He looks a little like this guy. No, maybe he doesn't. But anyway, yeah, they're already stripping titles away from people because it's the boxing world is the most corrupt world because he unified the belt, Chris, after whatever. It's been 20 years before with one person had all heavyweight belts.
Yeah.
It took less than 12 hours for them to strip him of 3 belts already or something like that.
Yeah.
Because he won't. Because they have all these clauses. Tyson Fury had a rematch clause, but then he wants to fight another guy, and stripping. They start stripping.
The lawyers stepping, Dave. It's all lawyers.
How about they just get rid of all these different divisions and just give one fucking belt to the champion? How about that? It's worse than WWE. At least in WWE, they know it's made up.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So, who are we going to see? You think at the Cal?
You probably see that the same top little group here, top 8. I'd imagine from here minus Nick and Martin head west, and
I think Tony Burton has to go there at this point, right?
Yeah.
There's no other option at this point. If he wants to, he can't wait. I think it would be a big mistake to wait at this point for him because he's got to get that qualification. He's done a lot of shows in the last couple of weeks. He needs some rest time before the Olympia, I would think.
Yeah.
So, who beats him in Cal? Can anyone?
Yes.
Who?
Because I don't believe in like momentum. I'm like a Cedric.
Yeah.
Because you don't know, I'm just exaggerating, but you just don't know, and what happens to your own body week to week.
If you're advising him, what would you advise him to do for next week? The same, or try to get tighter?
No, you do a Grego, the same. You do the same. You don't take the feedback because most of the feedback's wrong anyway.
Right.
Feedback people is people who, they just want the best for you, and they say just come in peeled. The other people just say come in bigger, and then people say come in peeled and bigger. Great. It sounds nice on paper, but
now I saw you had a little standoff between you and Carlos Thomas Sr.
Yeah.
What was that about? Did you guys have a fight or something?
Yeah, we had a little spat, and we had to have our sons. I had to call in the young guns. I had to call my son in to kick Carlos Sr.'s ass if he got in a little trouble. And he pulled in Carlos Jr. in. And I told him, I said, you know what? There's no way Carlos Jr. is going to go at it because if he gets injured, it's all on you. If he gets injured in a tussle, Carlos Sr.
That's Carlos Jr. in the back.
So they're going to be like, that was the day that ended Carlos Jr.'s career. What happened? Chris and Carlos Jr. got in a shouting match about something. And Carlos Sr. called out to Carlos Jr. and there's pushing going on, and Carlos Jr. broke his ankle. Now we were just, you know what? I like who doesn't like Carlos Jr. and Carlos Sr. in the sport?
No, they're great guys.
And
it's
fun. They're just honestly they're the funnest people. Just to see,
they're as crazy as we are with they love the sport.
Yeah, listen, I told Carlo. I mean, we've seen them for years, and they're always probably out of everyone you see at a show, it makes you feel good to see them together.
Yeah,
because they're always there. And they always got something.
What other father and son travel together? It's great,
Yeah. I don't know who's more excited to see the New York Pro to go watch it, senior or junior.
I said to you this yesterday. I said, Chris, can you imagine your father or my father going to a bodybuilding?
No,
it would have been so stressful for us because they would have not known what the hell's going on. Carlos's dad knows everything that's going on there.
Yeah.
But
I think
when's Carlos going to?
Carlos Senior should be a regular guest on this show.
Yeah, he should be. When is Carlos going to actually compete? Do we have a date?
I mean,
he looked enormous there.
I don't know.
I mean, I hope he
competes
before the Olympia and qualifies.
What's that?
I hope he plans to get on stage before the Olympia and qualify.
I don't know. But Dave, this picture, I did put this picture on Instagram, and I posted up. We almost came to blows, and I had to put up a smiley face at the end, after a few hours, because people were texting me like, what's going on with you, and what's going on? What's the big deal? Like, what's this all about? And I'm like, gosh, can't you read through the lines that it's like comedy?
Yeah. I hear that, is it true that George is training your son now?
That is not comedy. That is, George found him backstage, started talking to him about prepping him. I'm just kidding.
No, we were breaking George's balls the whole weekend. We were having fun with George. And George actually helped, I think, Ali Bilal, the men's physique.
Yes, George prepped Ali Bilal.
And he tried to prep Matt Grego too, right?
Well, who knows?
I had fun with your son though. We were in the room. We were making him pose in Chris's hotel room, and he looks great. He'll be doing team nationals in about 8 weeks, so that's going to be great for him. And I even gave him a little lizard advice because he's got some bearded dragons. So.
Oh yeah, that was the best part of the weekend when he got the lizard advice from me.
I'm a fountain of knowledge, Chris.
No, you are. You are. I said Dave has to know about lizards. He's a snake expert, and he's a doctor without a license. I mean, he went to medical school. I said, so he's got to.
George is a doctor though, with the license.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna pull some pictures up. I want to give some props out to obviously Sid, our good friend. Sid did a great job at night, holding down putting up all the coverage. Good times. Let's see what else we got here. Who else I got to mention? There's my sister with my cousin Lisa, and it's funny because we were talking to Joe Palumbo, and my cousin, and so my cousin Lisa's talking to him, and I'm like, she's like, "What's your name?" He's like, "Joe." She's like, "Joe what?" "Joe Palumbo." She didn't realize that he was a Palumbo too. She was laughing her ass off, and they had a good time. I want to thank Steve for hooking up some tickets. This is also my Lisa's friend Jody, who came too. She got to enjoy the show as well. And I ran into Robbie Lopez and Dwayne McDaniels, who owns Diamond Gym now. Robbie hadn't been in a show in like 20 years, he told me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Robbie was the perennial. Back when Robbie was competing, everyone would confuse him and Flex Wheeler because
they had the same physique, same face.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, right?
Same face.
Except Robbie looks like he did 20 years ago. He hasn't aged one minute. He hasn't aged. He's got a couple of gray hairs. That's about it.
Dave, they looked facially and physique-wise so similar. It was
unbelievable,
incredible.
Right?
There was more connection between Flex and Rob than there was between Joe Palumbo and Dave Palumbo.
And the funny thing is, Robbie Lopez I don't even think he's black. I think he's black, but he's Spanish.
He's funny not white, Dave. Just so that you know.
No, but I'm saying it's funny how similar they do look, though. They're not from the same ethnic backgrounds, No. And it's called the evolutionary convergence, Chris. They call that. It's just there's me, you, and Fareed. Chris stealing the Diet Pepsis there, keeping us awake.
Yeah.
That was my good friend John Effer. Won Team Nationals a couple of years back. Hopefully we'll get him on the stage again. So it was a great weekend. I really enjoyed myself. I want to thank. It was great hanging out with you, Chris, the whole day.
Yeah.
And I know you're driving back, right, in a few minutes?
Yeah, we went. I'll just leave you with this. We went down to Weinberger's gym, which we stayed here. We wanted to go down to Steve's gym, and oh my God, the traffic was.
You drove all the way over there? Oh my God! Yeah.
And it was actually Amir drove us. And it was worse coming back. It was just complete.
How many hours did it take you to get back?
Oh my God!
Cross Bronx Express.
Two for 30 miles. I mean, 40 miles. How far is it? It's not that far.
No, it's not. It's a. You know what? I don't miss the traffic in New York.
But the point, Dave, was not the traffic. The point was the traffic in the gym. It was chaos. Like just, you know what I mean? Just
well, everyone was there, Chris.
Everybody was there.
Like a week there. Yeah.
Honest to goodness, Steve sat either in the office or in that posing room. Because I asked him to look at someone. I was like, oh my God, do I ask him to look at someone? He's been sitting in the seat in the posing room critiquing people for like 400 hours, I'm sure this week. So we had a good time going down there. It was crowded, and all the crazy Brazilian people were there with their cameras and their Instagrams and their, I didn't even see him, but Ramon was down there training. He was there. Yeah.
He was?
Yeah. We left when he was coming in. He trained. And
why wouldn't Ramon come to the New York Pro if he was there?
He was there. He was at the New York Pro.
Oh, I didn't even see him.
He was at the night show. Yeah, we've been a good. Well, can't. Yeah, he was around. Yeah, him and his little mini entourage made a.
I didn't even know that. That's crazy. I also wanted to say thank you to Guy's sister Nina, who also helped us with the wrap up after prejudging, and in a very serious mood. No, Guy's great, and who else did? Oh, I spent a lot of time talking to also Juan Morel.
Yeah, I saw Juan Morel there.
Juan's my cookie dealer company there that he has is doing great. They're moving into some really big stores now. I'm so proud of them. I mean, I know Juan for 20 years, and I've seen him just come to me to start bodybuilding, and then he became a great bodybuilder. He won New York Pro, I think twice, right?
Yeah, twice.
And went to the Olympia a couple of times. Now he's making great money, with the cookie business, and I can't be prouder than him. So
he's so big on those cookies that there's now knockoff companies of his cookie.
Is there really? I didn't know that. Is that what he told you?
Yeah, they have like little knockoffs. I've seen it around. I'm like, oh, that's Juan's, and like, no, that's Dave and Chris's cookies. And they're the giant cookies and the weird flavors, and
yes. You would think it would be hard to break into like a business like that. I mean, cookies. When you think cookies, you think Nabisco, right? You think
because Dave. I think he was probably the first or second or third people around. They were the first. I mean, to think of making a cookie that weighs 2 pounds and like, who's going to eat that? But he was perfect. He had the test market. He had big bodybuilders. Like, we'll eat them, right?
He might be responsible for ruining like guys like Big Ramy. Ramy might have been eating his cookies, and that's why he couldn't get in shape for all those years. But no, yeah, he's got a great product, and I'm really proud to see. I love to see guys. I remember, if you remember that, like early 2000s, mid 2000s was Juan, Evan, Guy, all those guys. Came up at the same time, and I was helping most of those guys, and to see all of them so successful. Guy now with his company as well. It's I feel like a proud daddy, type of thing to say. Hey, look at these guys did really well for themselves. All of them did really well for themselves. So. It was great, but they were all hard workers, and when you have a work ethic that's like second to none, and you will not let anyone else outwork you, and we know guys not letting anyone outwork them, you can't fail at anything you do. As long as you put your mind to it and put your intention on it, you can't fail. It's impossible. And on those wise words, Chris, we're going to wrap up today. It was great seeing you this past weekend. Have a safe drive back to Maine. I'll be flying back to Florida Monday morning, and. I had a great weekend. Thank you, Steve Weinberger, for rolling out the red carpet for RX Muscle and the whole crew. And we'll see you again next year. Well, we'll see you at the Olympia before that. For now, as we say every week, Chris, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Sure does. Good night, everyone. We'll see you next week.